a stay-at-home dad, watching Disney movies he never had. His daughter digs through all the VHS, crushing the classics in a princess dress. Informed like Scuttle, Kurt's got your ticket, making it real like Jiminy Cricket. Most are off the Captain Hook, but if the Tweedledum, he'll be taking more shots than Bambi's mom. Leaves him raised like Simba, or cracked like the beast dishes. He'll show you a whole new world, you won't need 3 wishes. Stay at home, Disney Dad.
Yeah, here we are. It's Christmas, week 1 already. Let's head back to 1994. The VH cover says it's sure to become a holiday classic. Well, I got some bad news for you, 1994. We start with an ad for Disney World where the girl gets a wake-up call in her hotel room from Goofy. Is that still a thing? I want that at my regular house every day. Okay, we got an ad for an upcoming movie called Toy Story. Probably thought they'd toss this little movie a bone and put the trailer on their surefire hit tape, The Santa Claus, get it some exposure. Ad for the Johnny Carson collection on VHS, and a plug for Tim Allen's book, Don't Stand Too Close to a Naked Man. Feature presentation, The Santa Claus. Oh wait, is it like clause in a contract? Is that where we were going? We have this giant corporate Christmas party, and this business has made record sales this year. The gal from The Cosby Show and Tim Allen are head of the department that is responsible for the record sales. Okay, they work for a toy store, a toy company. Tim gives a short speech and wants to thank everyone's families as well, but their families aren't here, and that's probably why Johnson's secretary is sitting on his lap right now. Cut to some dirty old man with a woman sitting on his lap, and he gives an enthusiastic thumbs up. Oh, 1994, your humor is not appropriate anymore. Tim's driving home and he's annoyed by traffic and there's honking. Carolers sing as kids window shop at what is, I'm assuming, is their toy shop. And pause, toy store window displays, take me back, oh my god. So Tim and this girl here, Laura, are divorced, and their new man, Neil, played by Spicoli, told their kid, like Tim and Laura's son, that there's no Santa Claus, and I hate this new guy. New dad, Neil, is a psychiatrist, and Tim tells his kid that his mom and Neil don't believe in Santa because they suck and they're boring. Oh, that's fair, I like that. Okay, she's leaving the kid with Tim for Christmas. The kid doesn't want to stay with his dad on Christmas Eve, ouch. She gives Tim Neil's mom's phone number, that's where we're going to be staying. Tim looks at the number and says, 1-800-SPANK-ME. I know this number. That movie joke is rad. They use a great cover of White Christmas I've never heard before. Great shot where we see a delicious full Christmas dinner being served, but we learn it's actually a commercial as the shot pulls out from a TV to Tim using a fire extinguisher in his kitchen. Now he's driving his kid around trying to find a restaurant that's open on Christmas Eve. This is taking off. This is good stuff. White Christmas cover stops as they dialogue, then starts at the beginning of the song again. He takes his kid to Denny's and says, hey, it's an American tradition. We hard cut to a group of Chinese people inside. Oh, 1994. The song stops as they talk again. Denny's is out of everything because it's Christmas Eve. Then the same cover of White Christmas starts at the beginning for a third time. Tim Allen now reads The Night Before Christmas to his kid as he falls asleep, and the kid wakes up and he starts drilling Tim about the logistics of Santa, and he's finally like, hey, sometimes you just believe in something. To believe in something, you just have to believe in it. And I like that. Tim pulls some milk, puts some milk out, and there's magic in the night air. Now the kid hears a clatter outside. He wakes up Tim, and Tim hears it too. Tim runs outside, looks up, and he sees Santa on his roof. And he goes, hey, you! And Santa gets spooked. Whoa! It slides. It falls off the roof. Charlie's the kid's name. He comes running out, and he's like, oh my God, you killed Santa! Tim checks for identification. He finds a business card that says, Santa Claus, if something happens to me, just put on the suit and the reindeer will know what to do. The reindeer, and yep, on the roof, sleigh and reindeer. They look back and Santa is gone into the night. All that remains are his clothes. Just like me at the neighbor lady's house. The kid gets in the sleigh and Tim scolds him, let's go! And Charlie says, no, and then Tim crawls in the sleigh and says, I said, let's go! Whoa! The reindeer take flight, it lands on the next house, and Charlie's like, put on the suit and go down the chimney! Tim doesn't want to, but Charlie guilts him into it. Tim just took a ride in a magic sleigh and still doesn't believe any of this is real. He hopes the person that lives in the first house they go to is a tailor. He means a seamstress, because the suit is too big on him, but I like the tailor line. He puts the suit on and starts flying, and he says, that's okay, I'm flying. because I lived through the 60s. And that's a drug joke, people, which is kind of uncomfortable because Tim Allen also lived through the 70s when he was arrested for cocaine possession. Special defects take him down and back up the chimney, and they're off to the next house. The little girl sleeping on the couch wakes up and is like, "Why don't you have a beard?" He goes, "Do you want the doll or not? Go back to sleep." And Annabelle makes a cameo in this movie. There's a weird part where one of the future gifts is a puppy and it crawls out of the sack and it's kissing Charlie in the sleigh, and this symphonic music climaxes with a big finish, and Tim smiles and nods to himself, and there's a wide shot. This is how a movie ends. This is how a regular movie ends, but we're like 20 minutes in. Very bizarre, because it's obviously not the end. It's sunrise and they're done. "Back to the house," he says. But then the reindeer take him to the North Pole. Another weird scene where some smug elf comes out and punches a code in a control panel on the side of what I assume is supposed to be the North Pole. But Tim Allen is just, I don't know, he's like narrating what is happening. And it's very annoying and obvious. He's like, who's that? What are you doing? A pole? A pole with a control panel on it? Wait, you're punching a code on the pole? Like, why? Then a sleigh lowers into the ground and they're in Santa's workshop. Tim wants to know where all the grown-ups are. Flashback. There's a mean elf named Bernard. Tim still can't believe this is happening. Nope, there's still stuff Tim Allen refuses to believe at this point. Bernard gives Charlie a snow globe, and Bernard says it's very breakable, so be careful with it, and it just might come in handy. There's a lot of foreshadowing stuffed into that one sentence. Tim says he's not Santa Claus. Bernard says, "You read the card and you wore the suit? Then you're Santa Claus. The Santa Claus. The Santa Claus." Like a legal clause. I can't even be mad at that. That's some good writing. That's clever. The execution of this movie is lacking so far, but a great idea. Bernard gives Tim the rundown of his new duties, which include checking the list and deciding which kids are naughty or nice. Tim asks what happens if he just doesn't do it, and there's like a record scratch and the place goes quiet and all the elves walk offline and stare at him because they do not like that idea. If Tim chooses to do nothing, then no kid gets a gift and everything is ruined. Some little girl elf gives him hot chocolate. She says it took her 1,200 years to get the receipt right. He looks at the girl elf and says, "You look good for your age." She tells him, quote, "Seeing isn't believing, believing is seeing." And I'm just gonna pretend that makes a lick of sense because it's a huge line delivered with emotion. He goes to sleep in Santa's bed with Charlie, and in the morning, Charlie tries to wake him up and Tim's all slow and mumbly. He eventually wakes up and he's back in his own bed. Was it just a dream? He runs outside, no dead Santa in the snow. Guess it was just a dream. His ex-wife returns to pick up Charlie and he's like, "Mom, we went to the North Pole and some girl gave Dad PJs and now he's Santa Claus." It's kind of funny. Neil and Laura are like, "Well, thanks for keeping Charles grounded last night." So Charles didn't even open his gifts under the tree from his dad on Christmas morning before Mom and Neil came and took him. It's not a thing they like mention or make a deal of in the movie, but he was trying to wake Tim up so he could go open the gifts, and then his mom and Neil showed up and picked him up. Maybe there was a passage of time I missed while I was writing, but that happened very quick, and that's really weird. You try, okay. We are at Bring Your Parents to School Day. And this actress, teacher, was also a teacher in Billy Madison, I think. She's so familiar, but like as a teacher. Charlie brings Tim to the front of the class and explains that his dad is Santa, and all the kids laugh. The scene goes on for way too long, but it comes around. Some mean kid says, "So basically, if I want to become Santa, all I have to do is push you off the roof." Now they're in the principal's office, and the principal's like, "You need to sit with your son and explain that you're not actually Santa Claus." The next scene, they're at like this aquarium, and Tim's trying to explain to Charlie that it was just a dream, and the boom mic is like way too far away in this scene. The audio is muffled. I was like, what? Wait a second, is the ex-wife Kill Bill? No, she's just got the Kill Bill haircut. From far away, she kind of looks like Uma Thurman? Charles is spiraling. Tim goes to his ex-wife's and asks how is he doing? She says, "Well, he's jumping up and down on the bed in red galoshes." And Tim says, "No, not Neil, Charlie." Tim Allen is a complicated actor. He is so famous for being goofy and the funny guy, but between like this movie and Jungle to Jungle, I've really noticed that when he's riffing and like a jokester and playing the fool, it's terrible. I'm sorry, it's not good. His Bumbler routine is so forced and eye-rollingly over the top, but when he hits his serious scenes, he's a phenomenal actor. I don't get it. Comedy is not what he was best at least not in the 90s anyway. He tries telling Charlie there is no Santa Claus, but he drops the ball. He wakes up the next morning and he's like fat with a gray beard. He's becoming Santa. He shows up at his toy meeting and his co-workers fat shame him. They order lunch and all he does is order dessert. The Jeopardy music plays as he eats all his desserts. There's a new campaign at this toy company where they want to sell toys with Santa driving a tank. Tim is having none of it. His boss takes him outside the office and tells him to get help because he's fat. Next scene, he's running on a treadmill at the doctor's office, then he checks his pulse and it's great. He's healthy as a horse. Tim goes, yeah, a Clydesdale. Is that a fat horse? I don't get the joke. His facial hair is coming in gray and thick, hormonal imbalance. His heartbeat is a bass guitar slapping the Jingle Bells riff. Good stuff. This movie's winning me over again. But then just like that, more Tim is a bumbler and the wheels come off again. Kids start lining up to sit on his lap at a soccer game because he's giving off Santa vibes. His ex-wife says, never in my wildest dreams. Okay, well, maybe in my wildest dreams, never in my normal dreams did I ever think you could pull off Santa. No, wait, so this girl had sex fantasies about her ex-husband dressed as Santa. The poor therapist is just looking at the three of them. No, wait, sorry, Kay, I jumped the ball there. She accuses him of never thought he'd change his physical appearance to make Charlie like him. Kay, I'll be honest. I paused that rant before it was completely done. There was another line to write that first part down, and that's not at all where that was going. And oh yeah, surprise, I'm not watching this one with my daughter, okay? Just a grown man watching the Santa Claus on VHS in 2022, okay? His descent into Santa madness continues to spiral as the UPS guy drops off hundreds of boxes. It's the list! Boxes and boxes of paper of kids' names with a checkbox beside them. He walks down the street commenting, naughty or nice to all the kids. He shaves his gray beard and immediately grows back within seconds. Mom and new dad take Charlie to a child psychologist behind Tim's back. This is going in a weird direction now. They want to remove Tim's visitation rights, and the ex-wife is having second thoughts and remembers that when she stopped believing in Santa was because she didn't get a board game one Christmas, and that was all it took. She stopped believing. Neil remembers the same thing. He stopped believing when he was 3 because Santa didn't bring him an Oscar Mayer Wiener whistle. The judge suspends Tim's visitation rights with Charlie. Sad Santa walks home while Charlie Brown, no he doesn't, he walks to his ex-wife's house and stands outside the window and watches them eat. Charlie eats a fancy meal he watches them eat like a creeper. He knocks on the door. I want him to go at it with Neil. He's like, look at you, you're Santa, says Charlie. Neil, he's like, your dad's not Santa. He is, Dad, remember? And then he tosses Tim the magic snow globe and Tim shakes it and remembers. Now he's into the Santa stuff. Charlie, come on! But he can't because of the restraining order. Suddenly Bernard is there, he's at the table, and Charlie's like, can I come? And Bernard says, fine with me. And then the wife comes back into the kitchen, and Charlie and Tim and the wisecracking elf are all gone. They take Tim's picture to the police station because he's technically kidnapped Charlie. Cut to Santa Tim back at the North Pole running plays. The cops are at the table with Neil and Laura when Charlie calls and is like, I'm okay, Mama, but the North Pole. Gotta go. There's suddenly a ZZ Top Gimme All Your Lovin' montage to Santa and his entourage of elves doing the Armageddon walk. Santa is packing up and getting ready to ride. He has rope now that prevents him from falling off the roof. He and Charlie take to the sleigh and ZZ Top is still blasting. And this is a weird movie. There's a bunch of Santas in a lineup for the mom to identify. Why? They know who they're looking for. This scene makes no sense. Is Laura gonna be like, 3 and 4 look familiar? They're looking for her ex-husband. Santa does his rounds. They get to Mum and Neil Street. Charlie made something for them at the workshop that he wants to give them. The cops are ready and waiting and jump Tim Santa when he comes out of the chimney. They arrest Santa in front of all the neighborhood kids, and that's kind of scarring. They take him away in a police car, and poor Charlie's left on the roof in the sleigh. Back at the North Pole workshop, they can't get a hold of Santa anymore, so they deploy the ELFS, and a bunch of uniformed ice elves come running out. At the police station, they're interrogating Tim, and he keeps saying his name is Santa, so they put him in solitary. The ice elves get Charlie, and they fly to get Santa next. But before they jump off the roof, he reminds Charlie never to try this without elf supervision, which is so forced in there for legal reasons. Mom, I watched Santa Claus and jumped off the roof. They use ribbons to tie up the cop working at the front desk at the station, and they are lucky. He's the only cop working there tonight, because after that they just walk right on back and spring Santa from the holding cell. Charlie returns home, and Tim struts in behind him dressed like Santa, all badass. I want Santa to stomp Neil, but instead he cuts a monologue and tells Charlie to stay with them. I can't hog you, Charlie. They're a family too. They need to spend time with you as well. Charlie cries and Santa's like, there's a million of other kids who need me tonight and I can't let them down. 20 minutes ago, he was in the sleigh with Charlie, telling Charlie how he couldn't do this without him, but okay. He thanks Charlie for believing in him when no one else did. All the kidnapping scare is out the window and Laura's ex-wife is in tears and all is forgiven. He asks if he could spend Christmas Eve with Charlie and she cries and says, you really are Santa Claus. Neil says, oh my God. Then Neil goes deep into Tim's eyes and gets this little kid's squeaky voice and goes, Santy, Okay, Laura's gift to Tim is that she throws the custody papers in the fireplace. Bernard comes around the corner after helping himself to their fridge. That's funny. He tells Charlie that anytime he wants to see his dad, he just has to shake the snow globe. And this is like Beauty and the Beast stuff. The cops charge back to the house and the SWAT team bursts in, but the entire neighborhood watches us. Oh! Santa Tim and his sleigh and reindeer magically take off, and he yells, "Bye, Charlie!" And Charlie goes, "Bye, Dad!" And it looks like all his classmates owe him an apology, because his dad really is Santa. He drops gifts as he leaves: a soccer ball for Charlie, a weenie whistle for Neil, and skimpy lingerie for his ex-wife. Just kidding, it's the Milton Bradley mystery date game she never got. Wait, why didn't whatever Santa was Santa at the time bring these gifts? Were they on the naughty list? Whatever. The entire town believes again, and we pull out from the snow globe. What really happened? Was that reality, or did everything so far happen in the imagination of an autistic kid's snow globe? Charlie shakes it and says, "It's not working anymore." And suddenly Santa Mary Poppins down from the sky and is like, "Hey, chap, I want to go for a quick ride." His mom agrees, and he takes Charlie and they float up into the sleigh and take off into the night. And I mean, okay, wow, this was a mixed bag of like one good moment followed by a bad moment, just back and forth over and over again. And I don't know how I feel about this movie. Tim Allen, Spicoli, the fact that the entire world knows and accepts that Charlie's dad is Santa Claus, I just don't know. Who is the old Santa Claus? What happened to him when he fell off the roof? Is he dead for real, or was he just like freed from the Santa Claus claws? It was like they accidentally shot the first version of the script before like the rewrites and edits and tightening. I just don't know.
What do you think?
What we have is a concern about Curtis Anderson. His interviewing style is not the best. His personal appearance is not the best. I was wondering if the man has some kind of a hold over the channel that he's allowed to be employed for so long with the standards of journalism and personal appearance that he has. Thank you.